Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala khairul mursaleen. Muhammadin al-Nabi al-Ummi. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ijma'in. Amma ba'd. يقول الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Well, alhamdulillah, this is part 2 of we're calling these historical perspective, because we're in a very unique position right now, and a lot of the information I had passed out before, these crescents, which is, you know, most of the crescents, in fact, most of the people in this masjid, what we did for these crescent articles, usually at Salatul Jummah, we had preceded that by 3 hours, you know, because we were making the recordings. And I have some of the recordings that I recorded of myself when I was talking on the phone to here. So we have a lot of those articles, I mean a lot of those what would become CDs, because we downloaded them recently. Now, what that means is we've been on a big mission here. Now, the only people that know this is a mission is those of us who have been paying very close attention. So we always like to show these just to get a little background. This is September 2014, September 2nd. Imam Musa arrested and held in jail for 15 hours. That's very simple. That's being arrested in our masjid in Oakland. And the deed is 2 feet away. But that's harassment from the police. That's armed intruders attacked Masjid Al-Islam in Oakland. Now this is in August. That was August 2014. That's when the Negroes and the Arabs come, and they got guns and they pulling them out, and it's really a nice, interesting situation out there in the middle of the street in Oakland. Imam Abdul Alim Musa received death threats October 15th. I think this comes from, we're going to have a program, October 16th, October 11th. This one, Imam Musa assaulted in Oakland. This is they probably reprinted this one, but it was 2015. But the thing about it is, they were on Crescent. Crescent is the most well-known English, news magazine and online service. It's also translated into many languages. So that means when the first ones went up, I got calls from all over the world. Imam Abdul Alim Musa facing death threats. That was in June and this is the last one. I'll be calling Zafar maybe in a few days and make another suggestion. This is sabotage, death threats against Imam Musa, and now grand larceny of Masjid Al-Islam accounts. A lot of people think of these and they look at them as a tragedy. You know, like, oh man, that's cold what's going on out there. But if you will review any of our literature, I'm reading now from when I was thinking about this in Tehran. You can tell because my notebook has Tehran, and this is about 3 years ago. Yeah, 2013. List of fitness, you know, and we go down. It says build strong image. stickability, resilience. That means we are taking responsibility for our own future. That means we are taking responsibility for our own future. The other note says designing our own future. And we have a side note of independence. This is our great opportunity. Keep focused. Then we have a reminder. Arsenal, which actually comes from 5/30/2009, and it says, the arsenal is kindness, forgiveness, and humor. That is the weapons that you put in place. That's what's in your arsenal. But in our struggle, we don't have this arsenal of weapons and knives and guns and stuff. We have our arsenal that Allah wants us to use. Kindness, forgiveness, and humor. Use highest method to reach the highest level. Okay, so these are just notes. You know, of course, we have in here the Triangle of Terror, which relates to our friends, the United States of America, Saudi Arabia, and the Zionist State of Israel. All three of these are going crazy right now. The Zionists, if you watch foreign news, the Zionists are killing people every day. I think they've killed 162 people since the beginning of the year. Just, let's forget about the open-air prison, you know, in Gaza, where they controlling it like a maximum security prison. We have a little note here, stop asking USA for justice. Then we have hindsight, insight, and foresight. That talks about the different views. When hindsight is historical, like you look at what happened over the historical process. So that's hindsight. Insight is when you look into things and see its repetitive nature, its characteristics, right? In other words, insight is to look into things and begin to understand its reality. That's called insight. Foresight is when you can take all of that and look ahead, and you can predict just about anything that is going on with a reasonable air of certainty. So this is what we was dealing with. Insight, foresight. And so that means that we have been able to look into the processes that we've been dealing with because we have a mission in mind. The reason we wanted to get back to this subject is because Friday at Juma we was able to deal with the initial part, and it's so comprehensive that now remember we're going back to Oakland. We could have went back a week or two ago, but we want to set the stage for going back. We're setting the stage. We're not letting them set no stage. We're setting the stage as we have been. We're going back to Oakland, and we gotta. This is a great period for us. You know, you could tell something is going on if we have, I would say, a couple of $1 million easy worth of property here, bought and paid for. We have the same amount in Oakland, and we pay about $30,000 in taxes between here and there. That's a lot of money just to raise just for taxes for property we're not fully using. And the government was using many schemes to try to get us to get rid of that property, to sell a piece here, sell a piece there, and that way we'll almost have to start all over again. But we're not going to do that. Oakland is set right now for our revival, you know, with Allah's help. That means we issuing a call. See, we'll get into this in a minute. They always, the greatest asset that we've had has been strategic management strategic planning, and we've been using certain basic techniques. One is positioning. The other is leveraging. Leverage. And the other is the willingness to sacrifice for your movement or for the people. The greatest thing you can do is those, as it says in history, to lay down your life for your brother. Well, we had to have an idea of what characteristics we were going to need in order to go forward. And I'll go by reading a few of some of our writings. But I have it written here too. It says, don't have to fix a non-existing problem. This is says here that Mukhtar can't make a problem and say solve it. In other words, the stuff they was doing in Oakland was there to divert us from what we're doing. In other words, the Negroes come and they prepare a problem for you. Now remember, if they can't prepare, if they can't get you involved in a problem, they'll have two people in the community fight with each other, and that will cause fitna in the community. And we had decided exactly when to alter this situation was 2002. That was our last national conference. All the people came from Oakland and Sacramento and other places. But we had our conference here. Mukhtar's wife started a fight with Sister Karima. Well, both of them are from Oakland, and they both part of the same team out there. So, our hosting is always excellent. We prepare food, it's comfortable, oh, it's just laid out.
No, they both lived in Oakland.
Right.
But they weren't from Oakland.
No, that's right. Yeah. We're going to get to that. None of the people is thriving in Oakland. None of the people that came and started fitna in Oakland, none of them are from Oakland. That's what made it so sweet. None of the people that came wave after wave after wave are from Oakland, right? And the people there now, they use the same technique. Come in, start a center on the other side of town. The first group actually came from Baitul Deen. Probably most people don't know about Baitul Deen. Baitul Deen was ran by Fadlullah Hayri. He was an Iraqi guy, and he had big funding. And down in Blanco, Texas, they started they built a whole Islamic complex out in the country called Baitul Deen.
When was this?
This was 79, 80, 81, 82. You remember Baitul Deen? No, that might have been. This was before most everybody's time. So Baitul Deen, they sent a crew. See, remember in Oakland, they want to destroy what's going on in Oakland. So the first team they sent there was, they always come packaged. If you notice the fitna that comes to Oakland, or they come here, it's always packaged. It's a whole team. They don't send one person to start no fitna, because one person can't start no real fitna. So they sent a whole team. If you remember when I came here to D.C., they had a team come over there. We was making Juma at Muslim House. And then, even when we made Juma sometimes over on 18th and somewhere over there, right there by where Imam Mubdi and them had a joint over there on 18th and something or other, a long time ago. And it's right where Vermont and something meets, and they had a little Sufi place over there. And they used to ask me to make khutbah over there. But all the people that was on the opposite team, they all stayed right with me. When we opened up on 8th Street, they was there too. They was just there, and that's the way they thought they was gonna run it. They didn't leave until they tried to make a little takeover or manage the thing. I said, no, we don't do that. Ain't nobody, I don't know what's wrong with y'all. That we used to call them skiskelahum, you remember? Because they would say, instead of saying Rabbana lakal hum, they'd say something like, I don't know what it was. I said, it sounded like you're saying skiskelahum or something. In other words, that's the depth of Islam. And y'all kind of remember one of the guys that was leading the charge, all of a sudden, when we come over here, we stop seeing him, his kids, that whole crew. So Oakland, this is around 82, this is 82. The reason I know it's 82 is because we bought the masjid in 81 and it took us over a year to remodel it. It was a shell like this, and we had to raise the money to remodel it at, in those days, $30,000, which was a lot of money at that time. And we raised that and we remodeled it. We did most of the work ourselves, of course. Okay, so while we're remodeling the masjid, they sent a crew in, a package crew. We have perfect relations with the Iranian community. They can use our masjid and everything. And usually they're cut off from everybody else. So they sent a crew. All the kids was well versed in Quran and recitation. You know, that's a heart grabber there. The kids get to recite it, especially to immigrants in those days. So they sent them, and I asked them, we knew about Father Lahiri. If you read some of the old spiritual books from those days, he was very well known. So I asked the brother, Ali Abdul Malik or something like that. He was the leader. I said, hey man, what is your sheikh? He said, well, he's a Sufi Sunni Shia sheikh. I said, well, that's good. I said, if we was at the dice game, I could throw him out of either hand. You know what I mean? In other words, he let me know right away that he was up to something shaky. Anyway, they tried to get involved in the revolutionary activity we was having in Oakland. Remember Oakland, Berkeley, all the students from the Islamic Republic in Berkeley, and Berkeley was one of the main centers of activity. So they couldn't do that, but they caused a lot of strife. And eventually they left. Right after that, they sent another crew in. Another crew, this is Suleiman and these guys. These are the beggar types. They don't have no assets and what have you, but they get a little spot and they mixing around, trying to give their impression of Islam and trying to divert people. At the same time, they had brothers flooded out here from Yahweh ben Yahweh. You know, they used to carry them sticks and have, they dressed in white, just like, you know, just like, oh, they was tough. In fact, they had a crew over here. Was that Rhode Island?
Yeah.
They had a whole crew over there. Okay, they sent them out to Oakland. And all the dudes did was walked up and down the street by our masjid. Okay, because now, you know, the people don't know the difference between them and us. So their whole idea is try to start confusion. Anyway, we had several waves after wave after wave of confusion. But it never slowed us down. We never let nothing divert us from what we're doing. So that's why I said nobody can, I don't have to fix a non-existing problem. If somebody come here and say we have a problem with marriages and divorces, I tell them we don't have that problem. You have to take it to another masjid and let them fix it. But we don't have it. In other words, nobody can bring us a problem and tell us to fix the problem. We say, no, We ain't gonna fix no problem. So Mukhtar comes to us and to try to develop problems for me to fix. So that's what we're saying. We're into that. Then we said 2 recent break-ins, reference, COINTEL. Okay, easy to forecast USA future behavior, symptoms of decline, and excuse the language, but it says we are kicking ass. Okay, now we're going to give you an idea of how. Okay. So we're going to start from a few of our writings. This is 2007. This is from Strategy. There's nothing more difficult to carry out, nor more doubtful of success, nor more dangerous to handle than to initiate a new order of things. Despite this fact, Islamic workers must dream big and see opportunities where others see failures. It seems that for the person who does not daily dream a while, their star will grow dark. That star by which all our work and everyday existence is guided. In other words, it's difficult to change things. Everybody know that. It's difficult also to stay focused. You can't do that without the idea of dreaming and visualization. Now it says, in a step-by-step fashion, we will lay out knowledge and insights into how to effectively lead and manage the Islamic movement in the coming phase based on time-tested ideas and analysis of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's aid have proven sound and usable. The broad underlying concern is the pursuit of the power of Islam. We hope to provide instruction and guidance that will greatly improve our odds for success as an ummah as we go about our journey through modern times. We also hope to be an inspiration to those who use their imagination as a compass for the future. We're using this word imagination a lot because most people who support systems and big institutions are practical. They're realists. They said, General Motors is here in town. General Motors hire everybody. So when I go to the school, I might as well take auto mechanics and other stuff because GM is here. And if I'm going to get a couple of hours, a couple of seasons of junior college or something, I plan to go to GM. So I'm going to go take a little course in line management or whatever they have, because the college, if it's there, it's going to have something related to the industry, right? So I'm going to take that course. So when I get a job and they have a test for going up the line, I got a chance to improve. That's a realist. That's a realist. So a realist are the common people. They're generally semi-realistic. They're not dreamers. Dreamers are visionaries. Dreamers are people say, I want to build a sky boat in outer space or something. They're a dreamer. It's not practical usually. It's generally impractical. But we happen to come along at a time when visualization, human improvement, and technical innovation is on the move. Just think of the time, like if my father was born in 1900, think of how it was in 1900 and think of how it was when he died in 1989 or something. They had jumped up with airplanes, right? all the boats was steamboats and diesel. And then later on, atomic, when he was born, it was in the horse and buggy days, and they had people going out of space every other month. When he passed away, that means the changes in one person's lifetime was astronomical. If you look at a car from the 20s and you look at a car in the 30s, right? Hey man, you got innovation going on. You look at a car from 1928 and 1929, and you look at the 1939 Packard. That's a bad boy, which Roosevelt used to ride in all the time. You look at innovation. Look at a 1939 car, and they didn't have much innovation during the 40s as the war years, except automatic transmission. When we was kids, you know what they used to advertise on the cars? Radio, heater, and automatic transmission. Mm-hmm. All those things.
Big time. That was big time.
That was big time. Because a lot of cars didn't have no heater. You jumped in there and froze to death. Mm-hmm. You just froze. And in the country, I remember son Clay had one of them cars with a crank. He got outside and cranked that boy up. 34 V8 Ford. That was a nice car. Yeah. For a Negro to have late 40s, early 50s. But it was innovation. You look at a car from 1940 and a car in 1960 and 1970. They got 8-track tapes, they got FM radio, they got all kind of stuff, right? Okay, now the stuff we had on big Cadillacs, Twilight Sentinel, telescopic stern, when I had a little light blanked on the side that lets you know that you was going to turn, that was only in big innovative Cadillacs. Expensive car, you had to work a whole year on a good job to buy a Cadillac. All of that, yes.
You know, along with that, I was telling my son the other day that I remember when gas was 30 cents a gallon.
30 cents a gallon.
So I'm saying you could get 16 gallons of gas for $5.
Yeah.
That don't even sound real that day, but it happened.
And that was an expensive DC. If you was, I remember when it was 20 cents a gallon and 19 cents, and down south, it was 17 cents a gallon. And Cokes in the South was 5 cents. And when you got past Oklahoma, that's going west, they cost 10 cents. And one of them quarter-pound Butterfingers, you know, they cost you 10 cents, a quarter-pound of good candy. Anyway, those days won't be back no way soon. But what I'm trying to say is that was innovation, okay? We live in a time now in Islam when the stuff that we're talking about, it means to most people say it's unrealistic, it's impractical. You cannot challenge the Zionist, the white man, and they'll give you, which I'm going to read, they'll give you the proof. It ain't going to work, it can't work, and it's never worked. And you got to be crazy to try it. It's insanity. Nobody's ever pulled it off. You're lucky the last 5 years. You'll be dead, you'll be in the crazy house, you'll be in the poorhouse, or you'll be in the penitentiary. That's just what they said, and they was halfway right. So, here we're talking about a step-by-step policy that we're going to study and analyze what we're doing, and by this time we're coming up with strategies. By this time we are not on the defensive. We're studying. This is some of the stuff we was even putting out at that time. This is 08, the laws of war, the studying of the laws of war, but the laws of war in general, but then the laws of war in particular to our situation. Strategic retreat. Of course, we know we've done this many times. Strategic retreat is not running. It's bringing your enemy into your arena, into your backyard, and busting them upside the head. Building a dream in Southeast. Why? So he'll think this is our only focus, is to build masjid, school, businesses, geographical integrity. That's true, but there's other things going on. We know that in order to do anything, we're going to have to hook this cracker. Y'all don't remember, this is 2004, Bush the Unifier. Everybody was hollering about Bush. They hated him. And remember, I said, we like him. That boy is all right. Psych out Zionist America, Zionist America. Okay, this is 2011, so we well on the way by then. Manual of Islamic Movement. We have to produce a manual for the Islamic movement, how the Islamic movement will function in North America. How are we going to get this job done? Nobody never did it. They done had 911 that's 10 years old by then, and everybody is scared. How you going to pull off anything, right? Well, don't you worry about it. You remember the colored man, a lot of them gave him a whole, colored folks, a whole lot of stuff. Islamic enclaves. This comes off of Steve Emerson, Daniel Pipes, Abe Foxam, but the actual writer was, I think, Daniel Pipes. Those are the top Zionists in America. They talk about Islamic enclaves. They talked about, you know, the masjid that just opened in Baltimore? Mm-hmm. They talked about that one. That's probably the reason it didn't get open, because they had that boy popping up. It's been ready to open for several years now. Why had them open? The Zionists wrote articles about how dangerous that was. Okay, Islamic enclaves, they had ours in there in detail. Because what? Masjid, school, business, geographical integrity. Probably we own more property in this area than mostly anybody in D.C., unless it's a big corporation that's just bought up everything. And we own it. Now, it's not only a lot across the street, here, there, back over on 8th Street. So we have a plan. They want to get in between it and cut everything off. So when you listen to these Zionists, here we are a African-American institution. We don't ask and don't accept no help from the government. We're totally independent, and they don't want us to have nothing. Can you imagine that if all the things that you're doing, remember how dopified this was when we came here? Man, they had dope everywhere. They was throwing it out of the window. You was stumbling over dope everywhere.
Cars coming through and...
Yeah, man. I mean, it was like...
heavy traffic here.
I don't say that we stopped it totally. There's still a little going on, but it definitely has a different environment. Yes.
Remember you were telling, can you relate, remember you were talking about the guy, you were telling him about what we wanted to do with the corner? How we wanted to build transitional housing?
Yes.
In the southeast?
Yes.
And remember what you said, he said?
Oh, the FBI, you know, we had this is, man, time be rolling. This is about 5 years. This is in 2010, something like that. So we wanted to have conflict resolution. We didn't have how to punk the FBI and all that. And we ain't scared of them, and we didn't already just finished a letter to the D.C. police. Y'all need to have hormone therapy and sex change. They probably didn't like that kind of talk, you know. But if they bother us, ain't nobody scared of them. We say what we want. So anyway, we went down to the FBI office, and we were just 2 FBI guys. And the room seemed just like the room in what's that spy movie? The girl was running all the time, and Jolie.
Salt.
Salt. They had a room, and they had the room hooked up, and the Russian guy, was saying everything, and they had his brain scanned, and they say he's telling the truth. Da, 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 da. And so when I was saying stuff, they was acting like, yeah, that's the truth, like they know it's the truth. You know, I mean, I'm not going to go down there and tell him no lie, but so finally he wants us. He thinks that maybe I'm trying to find a way to become a snitch without it being too obvious. So he says, well, would you tell us if anything was going, excuse the language? I said, hell no, I wouldn't tell y'all nothing. Y'all worse than that. I said, no, I wouldn't tell y'all nothing. I said, but if somebody was going to burn a church down or something, I would stop it myself. But I wouldn't tell y'all. So then I said, man, all we want to do is nice little stuff like we got the property across the street. We want to build transitional housing. So when brothers get out of the penitentiary, they can have a little place to rest for a few months. Maybe we can give them $100 a week or something, just to go. But you know how hard it is when you're an adult. You're 40, 50, 60, maybe even 70 years old. You come out of penitentiary, you know, you done burned your relatives up. Don't nobody want to help you with nothing. No, I don't want to hear it. You know, so transitional housing, that's what we want to build right across the street. You gonna build what kind of, I said, just so you know, brothers, we got a penitentiary. But you could teach you. I said, I know you're not gonna say terrorism and stuff. Well, you could. I said, man, anything a nigga can do could be misinterpreted if you got your brain screwed on backwards. But they're serious. If you're not one of their niggas, they don't trust nothing you do. Islamic enclaves, all we want to do, masjid, school, right? Now, that school that we was running here, we ran it for 10 years. We'll run it again in the future, inshallah. But you got to remember, we subsidize that school, if it's $4,000 a month, they'll say 10 months, that's $40,000 a year. In 10 years, that's $400,000. That adds up to a lot of money to people that don't have no job, no income, no even Social Security, right? $400,000 is a lot of money for Negroes to give to other Negroes. And if you notice, none of the people, the kids that graduated from that school, all are top students everywhere they go. The ones now that have graduated from high school, they get honors and going on to the bigger school. You don't never see one of those parents come back by here and say, we sure appreciate, you know what I mean? Because half of them couldn't keep up the payments. It wasn't nothing, $50 a week or something. Yes?
Yeah, Imam Musa, what I'm getting out of that so much is being practical can be innovative then. You know what I'm saying? Just like they say, somebody coined a phrase, the necessity is the mother of convention. Right? So being practical, what you're saying, it can be innovative. It's almost like small minds talk about events. You know, it was a party here. Average minds talk about events. Great minds talk about ideas, which is like what I'm getting out of it. It's just being practical can be innovative because the old cars back then probably couldn't function today. So someone came up with an idea, let's use different material, and we got to think about the ozone layer, and we got to do all this and all that. So,
no, what I meant by the technology was improving. The difference between in the early part of your lifetime is different for people that live different now. You know what I mean? Yeah, that means that each year is some innovation, some advance. Okay, the people who was born 40 years ago are different than the one that was born 20 years ago. The ones 20 years ago are all into, they don't know nothing about nothing unless it come off the little, they're just looking at the little phone.
Okay. It still goes back to hindsight, insight, and foresight. Because some people had some basis of this knowledge, but it was not, like you say, people would say you're crazy if you be ahead of the curve, like I heard you mention before.
Okay, well that's what we, in a way, we are practical and we're realists based on our history, but we have to be dreamers in order to implement it.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to be, because remember, this type of optimism and vision is unjustifiable. It's unrealistic. It is unjustifiable. It's unrealistic for you to be part of an African American group that want to do good for your community. It's unrealistic. And we'll go into what the government has done in and around us to invalidate that idea, that it's unrealistic to think that the government is going to allow you to do something for yourself by yourself. Okay. So, but we also hope to be an inspiration to those who use their imagination as a compass. Applied strategy. Strategy deals with unpredictable, yet it tries to predict the precise way in which many forces could interact with each other, be distorted by nature and human or environmental circumstances, yet remain predictable to the trained strategist. This is saying a lot, but look what it says. For us, strategy deals with unpredictable events, yet it tries to predict the precise way in which many forces could interact with each other, be distorted by nature and human or environmental circumstances, yet remain predictable to the trained strategist. The essence of strategy is to build a posture that is so strong and selective, or in selective ways, that you or your organization can achieve your goals despite the unforeseeable ways external forces may interact with each other. What this says is a mouthful. Strategy deals with imperceptible or unpredictable environmental circumstances. Yet, it tries to predict the precise way environmental and historical and all circumstances are going to intermix, even natural things too. It don't have nothing to do with the government. The whole environment is going to interact with each other in unforeseeable and unpredictable ways. Because if it's just one or two things interacting with each other, you might have an idea. But you're going to have the whole global, environmental, historical, economic, social, all of these military, environmental circumstances. They're going to bomb the World Trade Center. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. Right? The economy is going to go into a dive. Immigration is going to get scary. All of these things are going to interact with each other. Right? Now, what you're going to do is try to predict how all of these are going to interact with each other, and you develop a policy that will be right out in front of all of it. That's pretty good. But that's our mission. That's what, yes.
According to their behavior.
Yes.
They have, everything has a historical behavior.
No doubt about it.
So the only thing that you're going to have is just different is technology. But the human being, what he does, his behavior process is the same all down through history.
Yeah, like
Right there in the Quran.
Like you mentioned before in the khutbah that Satan doesn't evolve, therefore human beings who follow the method of Satan, they can't evolve. They should use the same methods, just different day.
He can catch, if you don't evolve, the human, the shaitan can bust you up. He's going to use your nafs. He's going to use kibr, arrogance. He's going to use dhul, darkness and ignorance. He's going to use the same thing all the time.
Over and over again.
Over and over again, and he's going to catch, just like you won't find, he's telling this to Allah, we're going to get most of them boys. and girls. It ain't gonna be but a few of them that worship you and say thank you for the air and the water. And generally, he's been halfway correct. I wouldn't want to be on his team, but now here you gotta be on the other team. We're on the other team. Everything is against you. The environment, the nafs of people, the historical memory, everything in the world is against you. But yet you got to figure out how and what we're going to do. Now that's why I say there are certain elements that we as a people have been using. It's been effective and it's worked. So we talk about positioning. That is, positioning and leverage is very important. Leverage, for me, I cannot lift 500 pounds. But if I put 500 pounds or 5 tons on this side and I take a long metal bar on this side and push it, I can lift myself a ton or 2 or 3 tons. All we got to do is get the leverage. If 20 feet ain't far enough, if we can get it to 100 feet without breaking the bar, I can put that pressure on it by myself and lift the whole ton. You see, moving because of leverage. If you're working against the whole United States government, the Zionists, Americans, Saudi, the Muslim groups are totally controlled by the Saudis. The Zionists control everything else, right? And when they want to have a fool running around killing everybody, it's the United States government. All of them who are professionals at using Nas. The reason the Zionists are so skillful because they had divine revelation. Right. And they know what messes you up.
What buttons to push.
What button to push. They got the Torah. You think they're using the Torah to help anybody? No, they're using the Torah 100% to snap you up. Whatever, and that's why they're more effective than regular general white folks. The Zionists are more effective. And the media, which is who? 20th Century Fox, Warner Brothers. They've been here all the time. The American people have not formed their picture of who they are. Warner Brothers has. 20th Century Fox has. Isn't it right? They have told the American people who they are. Right? The Zionists have told them since the last 100 years, this is who you are. When we was kids, it was Westerns. Go West, young man. All of that. Later on, it's something else. And now, they're teaching them who they are. They get all of their information, all of their everything from the Zionist mentality. Therefore, they will make no progress. Now, here you come with divine revelation too. And yours is clear cut. It ain't no mix up in it. Nobody can hide their hand over this part of the Quran. Because we say, hold it, brother. We said, no. Nasrullahi, when Allah's help come. If he try to read over it, we all in there. Now hold it. Stop right there. Right? All of us gonna catch, if we can't catch everyone, we're gonna catch most of them. Can't nobody run that stuff on us, because we know the Quran. And the Quran is there the way it was eventually written, the way it was from the day one. The only thing that's been added is vowels. Fatta, kasra, dhamma, a'in, all of that. That's the only thing for foreigners, right? But the letters, everything is exactly the same. So here we are. We're going to initiate a whole new world, like it says. And the Zionists are sitting there saying, you are a fool, young fella. You ain't going nowhere. Because we got a history of taking care of folks like y'all. Yes.
Hey, Imam Musa, it's amazing you mentioned cowboy, because from my history, hindsight, looking back, seeing that the mass of the people are not that bright. And in the cowboy days, if somebody got killed, one person stood up and say, let's lynch him, before you know, you got everybody hollering, let's lynch him. And then you got another person come along and say, hey, no, I think we ought to give him a fair trial. And when it goes back to the TV, it automatically tells you, stay tuned for the next program. And I never went to college, but I had the whole jail arguing at me about something I took time to read and understand. And this person that was going to college had the whole jail against me, but I realized that the truth is the majority. And I understand the psychological warfare, convincing a person to take my dreams and making their goals. And that's what I see the mass of the people do without even understanding that the dreams they are having, they never accomplished because they wasn't theirs in the beginning.
Well, here's what they say about good leadership. Grasping the situation as it really is, perceiving the situation without prejudice, rejecting the non-essential junk, holding in focus only essentials and what connects them, seeing with the mental eye, perceptual objectivity, the skill of seeing what is there, not what you want to see. Okay, so this is part of our process too. We have to see what's really there. When you read all of our old As-Sabiqun, it talks clearly about people who desire a certain end and they develop their whole agenda based on their desire, not what's there. Because if you based your agenda, purpose, and work as a Muslim based on strategic management under conditions of repression, that means scanning the environment, you would come up with the history, the behavior, and the processes by which people have acted in America. And when you come up with your plan, right, it would be a realistic plan. Then you would implement that plan, and then you would come back and you would study that again. But what this is something they call coup d'ordre. That's something that Napoleon had. He could come on the battlefield and he could figure out what's going on right away. Okay. We must bear in mind that long years of struggle will produce many peaks and valleys. How to navigate through challenges and manage stress followed by exhilaration, followed by frustration, followed by a renewal of energy and spirit takes a special process, accompanied by a high level of adaptation and adjustment in personal management and community development. The lifelong journey of Islamic movement requires much mental, moral, physical, and spiritual preparation and progress. We must not lose sight of this. In other words, it's going to be different phases. It's going to be high points, it's going to be low points. You're going to be exhilarated. Then you're going to be depressed. Well, this was written quite a while back. This is 2000. Okay. You can get to the point where you can scratch some of this out. You'll be exhilarated, but once you get rolling, you won't have no depression. You won't have no anxiety. I can only tell you from what I've learned that it's possible that you can move through life with the most outrageous things happening without any depression at all. And I'll tell you how it gets there. It gets there, remember we talked about certain things. We talked about leverage and positioning. Everything that happened in Oakland is because of designed events. And we said all along that this is what we're going to do. We're going to design our own situation. And this is exactly what we did, that we're going to be playing a part of what we call human and environmental engineering. In other words, everything in Oakland, we engineered that ourselves. Let's look at a few things and see if we're lying. This one is dealing with psychological warfare. Here's a few things that we said. Implement the psychological strategy of inverse paranoia. Inverse paranoia is real paranoia, but here's what you're thinking about. Our oppressor is actually conspiring to help us. The attitude results in 20% of our thinking being spent on the problem and 80% focused on the solution. Most people try to get you, all of this stuff was to get us back into the Negro mode. If they threaten you, if they talk crazy, they know that you are normal Negro personality coming from a Negro background, and if you stick your finger in one nigga's face, he's going to break it off or try to shoot you. So they are figuring, they're counting on, if they come into the masjid and tell me, we're throwing you out of this masjid that y'all bought some 20-something years ago, 30 years ago, you paid for it with money y'all raised, but we're throwing you out of here, right? And you would say automatically, well, just hold it here a minute while I can go get my piece and blow your head off. This is what 90% of the people would do. We said, of course not. Why? Because we engineered that situation. We'll go over it in a minute. So we gotta remember, we're going through all of this stuff that's happening, and we gotta find something predictable in something that's unpredictable. Not only is the Islamic movement unpredictable, but all the forces movement against some natural forces, some natural fears, some natural anxieties, some natural misunderstandings about those. Some of that is real and it's natural. But you're also going to deal with contrived events. 9/11, the Murrah building, you're going to deal with all of that too. And you're going to deal with specifically designed stuff by Saudi Arabia that is exactly what would give the Americans and the Zionists what they want, right? And be 100% against you. So we're going to implement a psychological strategy of inverse paranoia. That is, there is a conspiracy. No doubt about it. But they're conspiring to help us. So when we think about Zionists, they're conspiring against us. But they're conspiring to help us. Because see, Allah is back there, so we're saying Allah going to have them make them help us. They're conspiring against us. It's like, you think that all of these things happened was they was trying to help us? You think if Mukhtar went in the account with the government help, you know, it's government help and it's the Bank of America working in harmony, and they all stand there together holding hands and look at you and let you know we are all in this together and you are by yourself. Well, if you wanted to let the world know how they work, what would you want them to do? By the time they got here, I was already finished. I said, y'all can stop now. We got more than what we need to deal with. But they kept right on going till we get down to grand larceny, right? We engineered all of this. And we talked about it in class. Most of this we talked about. Most of if you go through from this era, 2007, 8, 9 on up, we're in the process of engineering. Because remember, by 2005, we had begun to mention a few things like Oakland is, what did we call it? A clearinghouse. We said that Oakland is a clearinghouse for all the fitna. It was a clearinghouse. Abdul is there. And they have a clearinghouse. If all the snitches, if the CIA, the FBI, the DC, and the Oakland police just have all their snitches bundled up in a place, they don't know who they are, they'll be bumping into each other. They'll be messing up the whole program. Everything that happened in Oakland is because of designed events. And we said all along that this is what we're going to do. We're going to design our own situation. And this is exactly what we did. That we're going to be playing a part of what we call human and environmental engineering. In other words, everything in Oakland, we engineered that ourselves. Let's look at a few things to see if we're lying. This one is dealing with psychological warfare. Here's a few things that we said. Implement the psychological strategy of inverse paranoia. Inverse paranoia is real paranoia, but here's what you're thinking about. Our oppressor is actually conspiring to help us. The attitude results in 20% of our thinking being spent on the problem and 80% focused on the solution. Most people try to get you, all of this stuff was to get us back into the Negro mode. If they threaten you, if they talk crazy, they know that you are normal Negro personality coming from a Negro background, and if you stick your finger in one nigga's face, he's going to break it off or try to shoot you. So they are figuring, they're counting on, if they come into the masjid and tell me, we're throwing you out of this masjid that y'all bought some 20-something years ago, 30 years ago, you paid for it with money y'all raised, but we're throwing you out of here, right? And you would say automatically, well, just hold it here a minute while I can go get my piece and blow your head off. This is what 90% of the people would do. We said, of course not. Why? Because we engineered that situation. We'll go over it in a minute. So we gotta remember, we're going through all of this stuff that's happening, and we gotta find something predictable in something that's unpredictable. Not only is the Islamic movement unpredictable, but all the forces moving against, some natural forces, some natural fears, some natural anxieties, some natural misunderstandings about those. Some of that is real and it's natural. But you're also going to deal with contrived events. 9/11, the Murrah building, you're going to deal with all of that too. And you're going to deal with specifically designed stuff by Saudi Arabia that is exactly what would give the Americans and the Zionists what they want, right? And be 100% against you. So we're going to implement a psychological strategy of inverse paranoia. That is, there is a conspiracy. No doubt about it. But they're conspiring to help us. So when we think about Zionists, they're conspiring against us. But they're conspiring to help us. Because see, Allah is back there, so we're saying Allah going to have them make them help us. They're conspiring against us. It's like, you think that all of these things happened was they was trying to help us? You think if Mukhtar went in the account with the government help, you know, it's government help and it's the Bank of America working in harmony, and they all stand there together holding hands and look at you and let you know we are all in this together, and you are by yourself. Well, if you wanted to let the world know how they work, what would you want them to do? By the time they got here, I was already finished. I said, y'all can stop now. We got more than what we need to deal with. But they kept right on going till we get down to grand larceny, right? We engineered all of this. And we talked about it. in class. Most of this we talked about. Most of if you go through from this era of 2007, 8, 9 on up, we're in the process of engineering. Because remember, by 2005, we had begun to mention a few things like Oakland is, what did we call it? A clearinghouse. We said that Oakland is a clearinghouse for all the fitna. It was a clearinghouse. Abdul is there, and they have a clearinghouse. If all the snitches, if the CIA, the FBI, the DC, and the Oakland police just have all their snitches bundled up in a place, they don't know who they are, they'll be bumping into each other. They'll be messing up the whole program.
You know, you were talking about conspiring to help you.
Yes.
You know, in Islamic history, it's like Hudaybiyah.
Yes.
You know, where it looked like everything that they wanted was not in the benefit of the Muslims.
Right.
And the Muslims is mad.
Yes.
But all that stuff led to, the way Allah engineered that, it led to the conquest of Mecca. I mean, he made them do their own, they did it. They broke their own treaty.
On a super grand scale.
Yeah.
But you remember even one brother, because part of the treaty was, if somebody from our side goes to their side, they don't have to send them back. But if somebody from their side come over our side, we got to send them back. Right while they having the treaty, one of the guys had broke away from him, and he run over to our side, and he was hollering, and please don't let them take me. And they said, well, it's a treaty, you got to go back. He run off again and ran up to Medina. They come back, they said, we want our homeboy. He didn't run off, and we got to have him back. So they took him back. The next time he run off, he took himself and all his homeboys that they didn't go to Medina. They went and they became highway robbers, and they robbed all the caravans from Mecca. They was hitting them. And they got a bigger crew after bigger. Pretty soon they came to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and said, hey, would you take your homeboys? That happened in the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. And it's more stuff than that. It's just that we don't have time. Hey man, when Allah's on your team, you in. Don't you worry about it. This is the only thing. It's for Muslims to gain confidence in the Quran. All the stuff we have learned, you know what? It's been there all the same, over and over again. All we had to do was just go directly to the Quran and act off of that. But that would be without experience. Now what Allah says, that there's no powerful man, or the Prophet, peace be upon him, except those who have experience. Now, use our success as the basis to influence the direction of change of the Islamic movement in North America. Number 18, select or create conditions in our environment which are favorable to the success of our mission. Number 19, feint in the east and strike in the west. Number 20, implement the storyboard method in planning. The storyboard method is, you ever see pictures on in the pyramids? And they have the king, he's a little baby, and he's born, he marries a beautiful queen, they have beautiful children, he goes and wins beautiful battles, big battles and everything, expands the empire. A lot of people used to think that those were painted when he died.
No, this is
they painted them as soon as the guy's born. This is what you got, this is the way life's gonna be for you. You're going to marry the prettiest lady in town, don't you worry, that's already in that picture. And you're going to go to battle. Of course, it's Egypt, the baddest guy in the region. So 99% of the time, you're going to whoop everybody. So they whoops everybody. They expand the empire. That's the storyboard. That's the thing that we use. It sounds simple. Why do we say in 2042, 46, we're going to give a lecture to the Global Revivalist Historical Strategic Institute of Human Development? And we're going to be telling them how we got from the end of the 20th century to the early part of the 21st century now, and how we resolved and solved all of the basic human problems that we had created, and how we're living in the phase ready to go to utopia by then. We'll be living in a wonderful human experience by then. We'll have solved the human basic problems. Okay, that's just the Negro telling himself that. That don't mean it's going to happen, but that's your picture. You draw in your own storyboard. Do y'all see what I'm talking about? You're saying, this is where I want to be in 25 years or 30 years. You may not make it but another 2 hours. You may not get home today.
Right.
But your vision of the future is you are drawing that picture of how you want to look 25 or 30 years from now. Allah gave you that opportunity. Now, we're saying, why don't we use it? Everything we have now is because of what we thought about before. We arranged all of the stuff that's supposed to be fitna is not fitna. We sat around here for years. How are we going to get this global program to the Muslim world? How are we going to get them to pay attention to what we're saying? They won't let us on no agenda nowhere. How are we going to pull it off? Well, we out Trump. Yeah. We out Trump. Trying to get billions in free publicity. We do too. So we just developed the Islamic Institute for Counter-Zionist American Psychological Warfare, right? And you can't see it from here, but you can see that beautiful sign. Anybody see right there? You could just pass it around. That's in Oakland, Islamic Institute for Counter-Zionist American Psychological Warfare. We didn't even have to pay for the sign because one of the brothers painted for us to have a sign company. When we put that up, hey man, Daniel Pipes, Steve Emerson, all of them, I'm telling you, they ran that all in their whole, all their websites. We became, instead of being cut off, we had more action than anybody in the world. Free advertising. They put our flyers on, I don't know if I have it here, they put our flyers on their website just like we wrote them. Because they thought it would be offensive to people. Okay, if they got 100 people watch their websites, 25 of them is Muslims. And the Muslims read it. Some Institute of Counter-Zionist Americans like, that sounds great. The Zionists do what? And then it says what we say about it and talk bad about it. It sounds terrible to a Zionist. But to a Muslim, hey, who's that brother? Hey man, happy days is here again. We don't have time to go over all of this, so we'll say we're trained for this fight. You remember the old flyer, How to Punk the FBI. It's a better looking one, but How to Punk the FBI. This is attention. You know what this flyer, this program came from? We were in Dallas, Texas. We had a wonderful program. The brothers that do that Facebook, please, that's there. We had a beautiful program. And we went back to his apartment. And in the morning, here comes a SWAT team. Knocking on the door, knock. We're looking for Mustafa. Mustafa ain't here. So they show us a picture of an Iranian Arab, kind of Persian Gulf looking guy. So he says, let's see your ID. I said, I want to show you no ID. I'm in the house. I have to show you ID if I'm out driving up and down the street. I'm not showing you no ID. Well, we're going to have to take you in. I said, so I went and started putting on my clothes, so, you know, all my stuff. So he's talking on the phone. He says he's putting on his clothes. He's getting ready to go to jail. They're there to harass us. I happen to look out the window as a super SWAT. If you jump out the window, you get blown out of the air on the way down. You know, they all got their regular equipment on. In other words, it's a SWAT team. They're there to intimidate us. So I told them, no. I said, first of all, I don't look like no Mustafa. That picture you got, that's an Arab or somebody. Iranian. It don't look like me. So I don't have to identify myself to you. Finally, they left. So I got back, I said, well, on the plane, what are we gonna do? So we had this program, how to punk the FBI, just to show them we're not afraid of you, and you don't have a right to bother us. You know what? Yes.
As you're talking, I'm remembering, I just happened to be Googling,
Right.
trying to come up with some ideas, and I saw a picture where somebody had the school pledge shirt on.
Right.
So I clicked on that picture,
Right.
and it took me to Pamela Geller's site.
Oh, that's right.
And so as I'm reading the information, she's saying, or somebody is commenting on how they had infiltrated one of the MSA's conferences, and this was in Oakland.
Yes.
And at this time, I think it was Abdul,
Yeah.
Raj was there,
Yeah.
but they're saying, basically giving a breakdown of everything that's being talked about.
Right.
And pretty much he was talking about Malcolm. It wasn't anything serious, but you're talking about free publicity and the extent that they go to. And there was a perfect, I mean, you wouldn't have expected to go to Pamela Geller's site.
Yes.
And they're commenting and
just
breaking everything down.
The focus of their attention.
Right.
Yes.
Well, you know, as we were speaking, I was researching, you know, the Islamic enclaves, and I looked it up, and I went down your pipe site, and who they take me to? As-Sabiqun's blog.
Yeah.
He talks about how As-Sabiqun talks about the same article you have right there. It pops up right on the site.
Yeah, of course. But that's what I'm saying. Don don't spend no money on no advertising. Neither do we. And you haven't seen us do no hard work in the last few years. Why? Because they're going to block it anyway. So we just say, oh, we're going to have a program in Oakland, the one where they said death threats. All I did was somebody rolled their eyes at me, which is true. I said, that's a death threat. I have to cancel the program. They put it all on the news. Also, it's a death threat. It is a death threat. You roll, you know, Khadijah and them, and Luke, they roll their eyes at me. They threatened my life. I'm 71 years old. And you can't roll your eyes at 70 then. You can't roll your eyes as a senior citizen. Especially the day before the program, I had to cancel it. Well, I hadn't passed out no flyers anyway. I would never was planning to, just free publicity.
That's what happened to that's what happened to the two girls that was on the plane, remember? The two girls, the Muslims wearing hijab.
Right.
They just stared at they stared at the stewardess. She looked at them. They stared at me. They got kicked off the plane.
Hey man, repunk the FBI. This is our Declaration of Independence. This is pretty good writing. It's not a copy of their Declaration of Independence, but it's pretty nice. Okay, now, here's what we want to do in one of the articles. Strategic management under conditions of repression. Psychological guerrilla warfare. Harass, disturb, and produce imbalance and arrogance so as to accelerate the decline of the West. You can say what they want, but the West is confused, incoherent. There's people in the White House want to do one thing, and the people over in the outhouse want to do another. And the FBI, the CIA want to do another thing. So they want to do something in Syria. What's the name say, you ain't going to do that. So they have the feds, the security apparatus, let somebody jump over the fence at the White House. They let one guy get on the elevator, and he's a supposed ex-convict with the president now. This is the security letting him know, hey man, you get out of line, we just throw up our hands. You'll be dead in 2 weeks. Your wife and children. So what does he have to do? He has to cooperate. He can't. What are you going to do? He can't go tell the people, they let them do that to threaten me. Of course they threaten him. Anybody got sense know that they threaten him. To let him know you have to do what we say. Okay, psychological guerrilla warfare, harass them, disturb them to make them incoherent. Every one of these things that happen here is only 5% of what's going on. But it's all in the press. Well, that part is in the press. That means when we go to South Africa now, when we go throughout Asia, we're telling about the great work that we need the world's people to help. Okay? Now we're calling all our friends in California, Slossons, lowriders, businessmen. We're telling all them brothers, your grandchildren that have become Muslim, tell them to lock up with your homeboy. Why? They too old. They're all my age. But all of those are the biggest organized Negroes in LA. And the BGF is still functional. So they got telephones in the penitentiary. When my son was in Folsom and he was showing all the guys, just like you do on the telephone, they locked in, they was getting all As-Sabiqun, they was reading them and everything. Okay, they'll be reading them again, the new ones. That's why we want them, the word to get out. Pretty soon, everybody will be hearing about their old friends, their grandfather's old friends. See, our reputation, them other Negroes not from Oakland. First thing happened when I went to Folsom to visit my son a few years ago before he got out. All the brothers, BGF and all the gangster-fied Muslims, when is your daddy coming? Well, he'll be here in 2 weeks. Okay, they schedule a visit. So the visiting room, and the police is watching all this. You know what they did to me? Pretty soon, they snatched me off the visiting list. How? They just said, oh, would you fill this out? I said, I'm already on the visiting list. I'll just fill it out anyway. They did that 3 times. And they asked stuff about how many times you've been arrested. How am I put that on one of the little old sheet like that? You saw what it was. I can't. So then they said, well, you didn't fill it out correctly, so we have to take you off. I said, okay, you're getting out next month anyway. That's so we couldn't go in and have all them visits.
Yeah, right.
All the BGF, all the people, see, they don't know. See, California is different than DC. California is where we grew up, and all the revolutionaries was mainly in jail. The revolution was made in California by all of the state-raised kids. You know, like all of us, they got me when I was 12. I get out when I'm 14. I go back when I'm 14 and a half. I get out when I'm 16, right? I go back when I'm 16 and a half. All of George Jackson, Fleeta Drungle, the Soledad brothers, Billy, all those people that was killed. W.L. Nolan, that was teaching the Soledad brothers, was shot down in the yard in '68. We was at Frico Ranch School for Boys in 1957. His cousin, he was a tough boxer, his cousin was a state champion, my best friend. We all know each other. So, the people in the prison system know when the police tried to assassinate me in Greystone Barracks, you go to the county farm, they got one side that's the county farm, they got the other side that's maximum security. Well, I go there for 10 days traffic. Sergeant Sansucci come over with a gun and take me over to maximum security where I don't belong and give the white boys knives to try to finish us off. This is in 1970. This is a famous case. Everybody knows about it, how we acted up so bad that we didn't get killed. Okay? It's a famous, I was saying something and my son said, "No, Dad, I think y'all was trying to take the building down." That's what I said, "That's right, we did. Hang up on the bars and was doing something." I had forgotten. But everybody in California knows it. Okay? So we reach out now to somebody they didn't forget. The grandkids now, this all them lowriders, Slossons, you gotta know how many gangs. Chicago and LA don't have gangs. So if you friends, suppose you from another city, but you friends with everybody in LA, and X is your second town. So just LA alone, and all the people in Oakland and everywhere else. I'm saying is, when Allah got a job for you, Allah give you everything you need for the job. This is something that we're not using. It's an asset that Allah gave us. We're not using that ability to visualize. Look at this house. Boy, that was a shack. We bought that shack for $15,000. And now they say it's worth, I don't know how much. It was a shack. It was really a shack then. I mean a real shack. And brothers wouldn't buy it. I say, you buy something for $15,000, put 20,000 work in it, and it's worth 3 times that, 4 times, 5 times that much. It's because people wasn't thinking. We ain't selling nothing in the Southeast. They trying to get us to sell property over here, so we're not selling nothing. You know why? If we was just real estate people, we'd hold on to it, because have you noticed the money DC is spending now on rec centers? They just got a DMV right down the street, right?
That's serious.
The money they spending, where did the money come from? The day they got past 50% niggas, I mean white folks, or others, they start spending money.
Yeah.
That means in 10 years, don't talk about 15 years, what do you think this is going to look like? You remember all the new homes they're building? We ain't going nowhere. The same thing in Oakland.
They want A Street because the lot we got next to it,
Yes.
and A Street, in Old Masjid,
Yeah.
and they'll knock that corner off.
Yeah.
That's a lot of property, boy.
Man, they built a whole complex up there.
That's right.
We ain't going nowhere. We're keeping everything. We got a lot, because since we was gonna move, we'll stay there. As soon as we got a chance, we bought the lot next to us and made it all one. Then we bought, they used to have them tax sales. We bought the lot down the street. So we got technically 3 lots over there. Okay, and one got the old masjid. I'm trying to say is, we've been thinking ahead all the time. And that's what made it easy to defeat these people. I'm going to try to speed it up because we'll never get to that point. Well, 2000.5, we just talked about psychological guerrilla warfare, which we're winning. The only reason we never beat white folks because we just never tried, that's all. The only reason we never beat him because we don't try, that's the only reason. Document in detail the history, leadership, the collective history of As-Sabiqun as a movement, and some of the effective methods we've used over the course of time to deal with challenges. This is 2010.5. In other words, we've been into this stage for the last 5 or 6 years. Be hopeful. You have already witnessed the Zionist American ass-kicking by the Negro. We'd already whooped the white folks then. Why? because we had survived. Remember, every time they attack us, as long as you survive, you won. Right? See, this is a long-range, protracted, revolutionary struggle. So long as we're alive, we won. And we really follow the principle: if you lose 90% of your wealth, your property, and people, and the organization still functions, is still there, you have lost. We've never encountered anything like that. Okay, they came in and flooded. Can you imagine how stupid they look? Everybody in Oakland have saw this and all the other stuff they do there. And we still there. What they did was they turned us into a 1960s, early 70s type thing. We faced the same thing in Oakland in the crime thing. You saw how many times the police arrested us. In those days, everybody's watching. They said, it can't last much longer. This went on year in and year out. Right? Seemed to be having no effect. Pretty soon, guess what they had did? They had built heroes that was way more powerful and way more loved than the Panther Party. If you watch the news or read books, you'll think the Panther Party was the most popular people in Oakland. That's not even true at all. If you ask anybody in Oakland, all I knew about the Panther Party, they'd tell you, yeah, they was right up here. If you ask them about Big Hank, yeah, man, shoot, Big Hank did this, Big Hank did that down today. Now with Masjid Al-Islam, we know them, we know their history, we know their method of operation. Therefore, we're going to have them introduce Islam to everybody in Oakland. Modern style. If they can take all of this without a scratch on them, without any complaining, without nothing. Because see, everybody, if you was in Oakland, all of my friends know what's happening. And they driving by and they looking just like they was looking 50 years ago. The brother ain't gonna last, man. The white man got you on the board, brother. You know, the chessboard. And when the white man gets you on the chessboard, finished. Not with us. White man been had us on the board ever since they've been there. Wave after wave after wave. And now, we done got them to act a total fool. Instead of doing it where we saw it, now everybody saw all of this. They did it in the open. That's what we said we was trying to do. So you got to remember, make the Islamic Institute of Counter-Zionist American Psychological Warfare fully operational by 2010, which was steps in doing da-da-da-da-da. So we got an outline of all the stuff we wanted to do. We've actually already done that. Now, this gives you a feel of what we was talking about. Designed, what does it say? Design destiny. That means we, it's 2011, are right in the middle of designing our own destiny. Why? They told us what they have for us. That was a big year. Triangle of Terror. When you look at Triangle of Terror now, you can see who is it. It's the same Zionists that everybody know, right? So what we're saying here, design destiny, design future, design process. Not only we're going to design our destiny, this, of course, we know it means with Allah's help. That don't mean you can design nothing. And the process by which we're going to get there. This is a transformational process, but we're going to get there through halal, peaceful means. And we're going to make them, global transformation, we're going to make them drive the bus. They have. We can't be making that up. I mean, we done all in some classes, if anybody remembers, we talked about this stuff in detail. And it's done happened. That's so that we can, the revival of Oakland and D.C. will be the, you know, way the people always ask for a sign in the Quran and everything. Well, ain't nobody can survive the white man. That's what everybody say, right? Well, it's not true anymore. Not only have we survived the white man, we've way over survived him, right? Ain't nobody even came close to this stuff. The stuff they hit us with. Now this is just the surface stuff. The stuff underground is 10 times as deadly, and we're still there. That's how you educate the people. The Manual of Islamic Movement would not be a book that says Manual of Islamic Movement. The manual will be the living it out in front of everybody and everybody see it. But since they didn't know that's what the manual was, they trying to go around and burn everything you write so it won't be coming to a manual. That's not the manual. The manual is right there in front of everybody's face. If they see you go through this struggle and that struggle, and your attitude, and forces help you that you don't know, you didn't even know nothing about, and they definitely didn't know nothing about, and nobody's did it. You know, people surrender. When the white man come in the house, they throw up their hands. Just like when they go to arrest these niggas selling dope. Everybody already, they don't ask how they gonna beat it. They just, wonder how much time I'm gonna have to do. Wondered if I plead to this, then they'll take this off, they didn't charge me with full thing. If I plead to one of them, and then they'll put it all together for 40 years, right? That's the way niggas talk. They surrendered already. They already surrendered. That's the way the immigrants and everybody else think about the Americans and the Zionists. Nobody's ever beat them. Right? And just think now how they was looking at us. They get bold. You see old Ridwan Jaka and old Uncle whatever his name is over there. Those people are mean to Negro Muslims. And they arrogant too. Yeah, the white man gonna bust you up, you know.
I remember we was down at the convention center.
Right.
We was doing our powers, remember?
Right.
And they come down there and told us they didn't want us down there collecting the funds. And we should take all our money and pool it with theirs. You said, you told me, you said, wait a minute, we took all the 20s and the 50s out of
took 50s and 100s out and then gave them another. And then we shouldn't have even gave them that, but we was trying to be cordial. After all, they didn't pay the $1 billion for the Senate, but they showing George Bush is honorable and all of that. So wonder they didn't. Anyway, dear believers, we want this to be part 2 of the historical perspective because I'm going to try to wrap it up. What's going on now is our life is supposed to be a model. Just like the Prophet ﷺ was a model. You know, uswatan hasanatan. Life is a beautiful pattern of conduct. You watch him, it shows you, no, you can do this. You know, when you look at people of modern times, Imam Khomeini, the Rahbar, all of those people are models. They show you it could be done. That's the life that we've been living all along, you know. And as somebody just said a minute ago, we're not trusting the American people to come to no conclusion about right or wrong. You know, we're trusting in Islam. I remember the American people could be classified as, I don't want to say nothing about it, but if the president, old president say, it says, people said you were smoking weed. He said, yes, but I didn't inhale. So damn what? When the police kick the door in and you get in possession of it, they don't ask you, or you smoking weed and you got to put it down, and they arrest you and you got finger burners, everything, they take you to jail. They don't ask you whether you inhaled or not. Possession, you had some smoke on you. Right? So he tell the people, this is how stupid they are. Yes, I smoked some marijuana, but I didn't inhale. Who cares? And they stupid enough to listen to that stuff. And this clown, when he took him over to the war, 2000, Iraq, and got all them American killed, what did this fool talk about? Well, why did you do it? He said there are knowns and there are unknown knowns. Cheney. Y'all remember that? The man, and it was the biggest riddle. I was laughing so hard, and they was listening to it. They said, well, what happened with Fallujah? He says, we didn't know about Fallujah, and we didn't know we didn't know about it. So that's an unknown known. So there are things that we don't know, and we don't even know we don't know. Well, what about Baghdad? Baghdad was a known. We knew about it, right? And we knew about it. That's why well, what about Muqtada Saga? Well, he was a known. We knew him, but we didn't know that we didn't know who he was. They said that. They said it right in front of them. I said, man, I'm not going to bother with Americans. I'm not putting no trust and faith in them coming to the truth. I'm trusting the Quran. We should do that. Because these people, I'm not going to be name calling, but they sit right there and got all them people killed. He said, well, why did you do it? Well, we had Afghanistan, and we didn't know that Iraq would turn out like it did. We knew that we had won in Afghanistan temporarily. Right? Remember when we first came, it was temporary. But we didn't know that we would get into Iraq and those knowns would turn into unknowns. They were knowns when we went there. But then they turned into unknowns, so we didn't know that we didn't know what it was.
But the American people deserve somebody like him.
They deserve, hey,
because it's like when in the Quran, Allah said, the Pharaoh made fools out of his people. And they willingly followed. And so if you listen to that,
hey man, overseas, I would tell the people stuff, and they would say, no, well, it couldn't be that way. It don't make sense. I said, don't you worry. It was in Pakistan. I moved toward a close in '98. Well, you're having midterm elections that look like the Democrats going to really lose big. I said, no, they winning big over there. But the president is having all of these issues with fornication and adultery. I said, the American people like him, especially the women. I said, because you look at the women he messed with, they're not bombshells. They're the girl next door or down the street, way down the street. They're not. There's nothing extraordinary about them at all. That's the way most American women look. Right? So every American woman knows if I could get up to President Clinton and get on the side, he would knock me over. He would risk his whole presidency for me. That's the way they feel. They like the guy. Right? You see everything he said it. They like him because they know he's an equal opportunity fornicator. He is. He's fair with as long as you're a girl. That's it. That's it. Finish. We don't have to have none to pass no cutie pie test or nothing.
Bill said he didn't have sex with the woman. Then Bill turned around and said, well, we had phone sex. I was trying to figure out, what is phone sex? What is, they come up with stuff that's so ridiculous.
That was big in those days. Forget about, excuse the expression, all of that discharge on the dress that they had. You know, not that they have DNA nowadays, even in them things. But I'm saying is, you can say anything you want. And then the American people, I'm saying, the immigrants follow them Americans.
They believe them.
Islamically, they believe them people more than they, right? They ain't never throw no Americans out of nowhere. They throw us out. You gotta go, brother. I said, we just want to help. Maybe y'all, no, you gotta go. We don't want your help. We don't want y'all around, because Americans are mad at y'all. It's okay. And then they hit them all upside the head, right? They believe that. No, Mr. Clinton is going to help us. And Barack Obama, the name, Barack Hussein Obama. I said, Saddam Hussein, Hosni Mubarak. I said, all them guys got good names. Their names are, they got wonderful names. You know, the butcher of Baghdad got a Saddam Hussein, constructor of anything. Okay, I'm gonna move toward a close by saying that Oakland and DC is like hinges on a door. You notice those are big doors, but the little hinges swing those whole doors. So that's what we are. We are little hinges, but we want to affect the whole Islamic movement. And we want to do it with just the atmosphere that we have in here today. Not with hatred and I'm not saying the Zionists and the Americans don't deserve mistreatment, but it shouldn't come from us. Because a lot of them slid us through all of this fitna that killed everybody. I'm telling you, one of these blows wiped out the Al-Islam movement. One of these blows finished off the Islamic Party. Not even a whole blow. Everybody, the whole movement, the black movement, they hit them with one or two blows. Maybe their Islam had not evolved. Maybe they were too well infiltrated by government agents. Okay, so we have all of that too, but Allah has, there's no sense in reading all of this. I have all of this stuff from what the FBI has done and what everybody's done. We're pretty well versed in it. I just want to say, so when the people in California see that, they will know that this, we are not on the defensive on this. See, our people that write about an issue, they write a lot about what happened to us, but they don't write what we do to the system. See, they want us to look like a victim. Oh, they did this to poor As-Sabiqun. So what? They did 100 times. That's not the thing. The thing is what we do. Number one, we engineer that. Anybody that's been to any of our meetings and khutbahs know that psychological guerrilla warfare has worked. And we would say it. That's what made it so effective, that we would say what we was. Psychological guerrilla warfare has worked. Imam Musa will share case study after case study. Case study is when you go to university, if you're studying any subject, management, leadership, economics, they got a case study, you know, about McDonald's and how they did their management scheme. It's a case study. Okay, I don't care. What GM, General Electric, a case study. They didn't expect that we have the ability to do that. Mm-hmm. That's what made it easy. That we're using them and our environmental circumstances as a study. Although we talked about it, they still don't realize that we're keeping notes and we're cross-sectioning everything, you know, with the COINTEL program, with this program, that we're cross-sectioning everything, and we're doing it just like a real psychological study. Some of them are historical studies, and it was easy. They're believers it was easy because they don't expect that out of us. Just because we talk like a clown, they think we meant it. And remember, they don't know what we mean and what we don't mean. And when we get to talking scientific, intellectual talk, they said, those niggas read that in a book. They don't know what it means. They sure of it. And we keep on, we buffoon them up. You so know how to cook them. They can think we just buffooned it up. Yeah, we just clown it. And pretty soon they looked up and they're surrounded and they're forecasted and they're predicted. I'll move toward a close in a minute. If you can forecast the behavior of your enemy, or if you can call every Super Bowl throughout your life, if you can call every basketball game by anybody, or if you can go to races and you said, this here, Wendy Dendy gonna win, quick, fast, in a hurry, gonna come in second, and you do that all the time, don't you think that people been watching you? They're gonna watch who you bet on after a while.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. They'll hire you in a minute. Yep.
Hey man, they gonna bet with you because you done call every race.
Yeah.
They say, well shoot, if I just bet twice a week with him, I'm gonna be all right. You know what I mean? Why? Because you call every race. In the United States, we've called every race on these people. It don't make no difference whether they like it or not. It came out that way, nationally and internationally. So that's what our mission has been, dear believers, and I will close with that. Are there any questions or comments? Because any questions or comments at all? Again, we planned and forced everything on the surface. It was bad for many years because they were doing what they do and we only do that. And that's not good because, you know, they said, well, brothers slipping a little late. You know what I mean? Exaggerating a little. The white man can't be that bad because they don't see it. Remember, and the snitches treat you or them very nice. They after you. So if informers come into the masjid, they take all the other people to dinner, to the halal shop. They just so nice with them. They're not there to get them. They're there to mislead them. They're there to finish you off. Right. That's their job. So when you tell the people, brother so-and-so's a little slick. They said, brother so-and-so just took me to halal court, and I didn't have but $50. I had $60 worth of food, and brother so-and-so gave me $10 to go in. So they starting to look at you like something's wrong. I said, well, yeah, brother so-and-so, you know, he was rolling his eyes last week, and you know what that means. And they started looking at brother so-and-so rolling his eyes. He's beautiful eyes, handsome fellow. You know what I mean? Something was wrong with you. So this was the mission. We had to force it on the surface. That is the crux of everything. And they did it. They did more than what we needed. We only needed 2 or 3 incidents for everybody to look at. And we're saying this so when we get back to California, we wanted to make sure we have a few in case they haven't surrendered yet, right? That they can't set us up. And the last thing, this I will close with this. They are desperate, dear believers. Everybody knows who they are, and everybody knows who Abdul Malik is, and they know who Mukhtar is, and they know who all them people are. And those people's life is in danger. Why? Who wants to get rid of them? Everybody. Everybody. Who wants to get rid of them the most? The police and the snitches. Because they've been operating freely up and down. They know who all the snitches are. California, they know who all the snitches are here too. All they gotta do is somebody grab him, put a little heat on him, put a little heat on the nigga, he'll tell everything. In about 4 or 5 minutes, he gonna tell everything. He gonna tell on, they gonna tell on all the snitches. That's why the government, after they did a few things and they didn't work, they told them to increase it so we would take care of it. And then they send people by. Yeah, man, yeah, handcuffs still doing them 187s. That's people I knew from Dunya, that they, you know, they kind of disappeared people and stuff, you know. They want me to say, you know, well, I just roll my eyes up at the street, up to where, what's the name, them hang out, because the police want to get rid of them. They're dangerous. And then the snitches now, you know, all the trouble Abdul started all out there at Irvine and got all, remember a few years ago how Irvine was the center of all the fitna in California? A lot of snitches and a lot of that in Southern California. It's because Abdul was going there. He was setting up the students. Well, now everybody knows what he was doing. So his life was in danger. The police, 2007, 8, just before he gave this, that's when he supposedly quit, or what do they call it, resignation. They sent people by with AK-47s, everything. We'll take care of that nigga for you. I said, no, we don't do that. Remember, psychological guerrilla warfare, kindness, optimism, and humor. They don't believe niggas got that in them. They believe niggas is stupid, and niggas is clowns, and niggas will get emotional, right? That's why they have been beaten every time they mess with us. This is not arrogant, you could just read it. They are thoroughly beaten. Now we're going into a real development. So that means we'll develop all our property here. We'll fix up our places. If we got little stuff hanging from the roof, we'll paint up this summer. We'll do maybe next summer. We'll finish everything here. We'll do all the stuff, inshallah. As we travel around the world, we'll tell the people what help we need, because the people of the world are beginning to know that we've been, they call it oppressed. We ain't been oppressed by the Americans, we've been blessed by them. No, they just hook us up, that's all. It's just if you have that attitude. The last thing in our life, brothers and sisters, life is not over yet, no matter how old you are. Why not live the type of life you want to live? Why not just dream and give it a try? That's all we give it a try. See if it'll work. Now, if you mess with the white man right away, he will, it could be your unlucky day and he can kill you, you know what I mean? But not necessarily. And once you fulfill 1 or 2 dreams, you will never turn back to just working a job and going home and paying bills. Once you get bit by that dream bug, and don't get caught up in what they call it, that messianic stuff where you think, yeah, I'm supposed to do big stuff. You get bit by that, it's all over. Once you bit, you can't do nothing else. I admit I've been bitten by the bug, and I don't even want to do, I don't even think about nothing else. I'm telling you, give it a try. Then you will come alive. Every day you can feel yourself breathing and walking, and you're walking in the woods, you could feel yourself at oneness with the environment. It's different than paying bills and driving down the street. You become alive. That's what's happening right now. So if they take me out next week, I still had a pretty good time while I'm being here. At 71 years old, shoot, most of the brothers didn't make it to 25. So how have it come out and got a chance to go to heaven? You know, a chance, there ain't no guarantee. But if you do a little right, So that's the advice of the day. Let's, if we can, try it. Just see what happens. You know what I mean? If you don't get killed, that's our rule. If it don't kill you, hey man, it'll hook you up. Are there any questions, any comments? If not, thank you very much for putting up with this, for just listening. But this is the message for the people. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.